Okay, I'm going to call the regular City of Prescott meeting to order. It is Monday, September 11th at 6 o'clock. I'll do roll call. Maureen?
Here.
Pat?
Here.
Dar?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
And John and Bailey are excused. Everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is public comments. The council will receive public comments on any issue related to the item. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. Health and Safety Committee minutes from August 14th. City Council meeting minutes from September 11th.
No, it's not September 11th. August 28th.
Huh?
Should be August 28th.
August 28th. General fund balances from August, cash balance from August, paid invoice report from August.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5, please.
Second?
The motion, a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is report of standing committees and commissions. Finance Committee, we have our first budget meeting Wednesday, September 20th at 5 o'clock. Then the second budget meeting is Wednesday, October 4th at 4:30. It's really important that we all show up for those. Next item is Planning Commission. Next meeting is Monday, October 2nd at 6. Parks and Public Works, Monday, September 18th at 5. Health and Safety, Monday, November 13th at 5. Personnel, next meeting Wednesday, November 1st at 5. Is there any corrections to any of those meetings? All right. Next item on the agenda is communications and new business. Public comments, the city will receive public comments on any issue not related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item, including written requests, documentation of possible action at a future consideration.
I'll make just an announcement stating thank you to all the volunteers for Prescott Days. I think that it was a success. I went to the Fairy Wonderland on Friday night. I had never been there before to look at the new playground. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Really
it's
good
really
for the
cool.
really little ones. And it was just a really nice night. Everybody was just hanging out with the kids, and there was a couple food trucks, and it was lovely. So I enjoyed it. So thank you.
I was downtown on Saturday from noon until about 2 o'clock, and that was fun too.
Yeah, it was really fun. All right.
So I just wanted to do a short recap on our public paid parking. That it is, if you haven't heard, we are not moving forward with that. And we had a public hearing. And I just want to touch a couple items that were on the public hearing. We did talk to the city of River Falls. A lot of people use River Falls as an example. They don't have paid parking, yada, yada, yada. Well, their meters had gone to their expiration date. They were penny and nickel ones. They had to go around with bags to collect all their money and stuff. They chose not to do their public parking. That is why they don't have it. It wasn't because their downtown was dead. City of Hudson's paid parking. They're having one of their best summers ever. They heard the same feedback from their citizens and their business, but none of that ever happened. Businesses are thriving. Same with Stillwater. And Stillwater did mention, don't ever build a parking ramp if you don't have to. So
I think Stillwater is just implementing their paid parking. from what I understand.
But anyway, a couple other things. We were told that we were reactive and not proactive, but everything that we do here is very well thought through. Many, many, many meetings, sometimes years. And so we are very proactive. I want to make sure that's the point. We have a very good council. Everybody here, sitting here, are citizens, and we pay taxes like everybody else. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things. All in all, it was a good meeting. We had a good turnout. Maybe paid parking isn't a good thing for us now. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But for now, it is off the table. That's just all I wanted to say about it.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 06-23, amending chapter 443, article 1, junked vehicles and appliances, second reading.
Yeah, and this is, you know, like you just said, this is a second reading, and this ordinance is going to basically treat junk vehicles and any kind of junk appliances for commercial properties the same as residential properties. So this is the second reading.
I need a motion.
Do we want a motion for a third reading, or are we gonna go through and finalize this?
Skip one. So the cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products was, I believe, is that one?
Correct.
06-23.
No, I'm so
We're-
sorry. I'm
We're
looking
still on the
at
first
the
one.
junk vehicles,
We haven't had
yeah.
a reading for it yet.
So,
I thought we did.
We had a first reading.
yes.
Right,
So the-
but we haven't voted on it yet.
Correct.
No, but you said 06-23 with, was the junked vehicles? 06-23 is
06-23 is what it says on my.
cigarettes and vaping?
Huh?
Cigarettes and vaping.
No, that says our 723 on the agenda.
Wait, which one? Did I grab the wrong one? I apologize if I did. I grabbed,
Huh?
I'm sorry, I grabbed the ordinance first. It's my mistake.
Oh,
Sorry, the first item on the
you have it
agenda.
backwards on this as
For
opposed to. what's
item
on
number
here.
2, so
On my
sorry,
agenda, on my
06.
computer, it says the other way around.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and
06-23.
continue with,
Okay,
Do you want the junk vehicles?
Yes.
Yeah.
yep,
since you already did that.
Yeah, I did.
okay.
So that's a correction, it'd be ordinance 07-23.
07.
Second reading.
Motion to move forward with a second reading of ordinance 07-23, adopting ordinances for cigarette, vaping, and tobacco smoke products. Am I on the right
Oh,
one?
wait a minute.
Am I doing
Now,
this correctly?
Which one are we doing?
Jeez.
And now I'm confused.
Sorry, the paper agenda that's out in the back tonight was printed on an old copy that was printed, and they're flip-flopped on the paper agenda. If you look at the packet that's online and that's within your printed versions for Councilmember Owens and Councilmember Otwell, you both have the corrected version, but if you're going off the paper one that was printed tonight, it has them flip-flopped. So 06-23, the proposed junked vehicle ordinance, what we're requesting as staff is to send that back to Health and Safety Committee. There's some items that came up at our last meeting in terms of asking for a fence to be considered for something to allow for junked vehicles and appliances to be put behind. If people put up a fence, when we were reviewing this and we're trying to treat all properties the same, there were some concerns of if that's how we want to move forward specifically. Do we want to have neighbors putting up a fence and then storing junked vehicles and appliances? So then the question was, maybe we should relook at this in health and safety and come up with some language on how we want to address that. So that is what staff is requesting before you tonight, is to send this back to health and safety.
And this is 06-23, correct?
0623, although again, if you're looking at your paper copies, if you grabbed one and you came in, and if anybody has one here tonight, they are on this paper copy.
Okay.
Reversed.
Let's take care of that.
I'll make a recommendation that we move 0623 junk vehicles back to health and safety.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move ordinance 06-23 back to Health and Safety Committee. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. So
Now,
the next item,
07 dash.
07-23, is adopting Chapter 271, Article 4, cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products. Dara?
Same thing. This is, we don't have any ordinances for smoke shops in the city of Prescott, and we could see more coming to our city. So this is a second reading for ordinance 07-23. Moving forward, were we discussing whether or not it was going to be,
So, yes, at the last meeting, we discussed making sure to add C1 Central Commercial District, which the second reading does have that C1 Central Commercial District entered in. As a result of the restrictions that were in place, one of the things we did change is previously we had 750 feet of a public park that they couldn't be allowed within, but now it states 750 feet of a public park. This shall not apply to the C1 Central Commercial District because essentially the way the restrictions were before were basically not allowing any tobacco shops to be in that C1, so that's why it was removed. But now with this, this statement here, it basically allows for that restriction to not apply for the C1 commercial districts, and they can be in there with the changes that were requested at the last council meeting.
so I'll make a motion to move forward with ordinance 07-23, adopting chapter 271, article 4, cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products.
Second reading?
Second reading.
So just to be clear, do we want to have it go to a third reading, or are you approving it?
I think we should just approve it.
Let's go ahead and approve it then. I'll make a motion to approve 07-23, an ordinance adopting chapter 271, cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the second reading and waive the third reading of Chapter 271, Article 4, cigarettes, vaping, and tobacco products. Are there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carried, thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of agreement with Diversity Landworks for goat grazing at McGee Park for a cost of $6,700. Matt, would you like to take that?
Yes. So last year, we worked with Cooley River Trails to sign our memorandum of understanding, and that was for the improvement of McGee Park. One of the things that we started last year was for vegetation management, so we didn't have to use chemicals and other intrusive methods of trying to manage vegetation down there of invasive species. We started using goat management, which is becoming more of a technique used to try to treat specifically for buckthorn, that grazing. So one of the things that they recommend is to continue those grazings every single year for multiple years to really help cut back on those invasive species. So before you tonight is that contract with Diversity Landworks. I know Israel Haas, who's with Cooley River Trails, is also here if you have questions for him, but the idea is then to try to do the second round of this goat grazing. Overall, the cost would be $6,700. This would coming out of the park escrow fund budget, which is already budgeted. Currently, we still have a balance in that line item of $20,836 of the budgeted $44,000 for the year. I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
Motion to approve the $6,500 for goats at McGee Park.
I'll second that motion.
I have a question, is it 67 or is it 65?
Oh, I'm sorry, 65.
67, I believe.
67? Because I have 67 on my sheet.
No, sorry,
I have
65.
65 on my computer.
65.
Okay, 65. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Diversity Landworks LLC in the city of Prescott for goats at McGee Park. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I guess my concern would be the timing of this for this season, being that those leaves are about to fall anyway on that buckthorn and things like this, and my understanding of doing this would be a better thing to do in the spring or early summer to stop the growth and kill the plants or push them back, whereas doing it now, the plants have already built up their root system for wintering over and are gonna shoot back next year. And these goats don't eat the plants, they eat the leaves, if I'm correct. So I would advise against this without, unless we could get some more information to be more specific about this, because my concern would be that these goats just have some free time and somebody's trying to sell us some goat time that's not to our good advantage.
I guess I'm not a goat grazing expert, but I believe it's the opposite.
Neither am I, that's why.
Yeah.
We did this the same time last year.
Yeah,
In
and-
September.
Well, Carter did write in the memo that it's recommended that we do both spring and fall for 2 to 3 years. That, and I imagine, I just took it that he had done the research on when was the best time. I mean, I can't become an expert in goats, so I'm relying on Carter and
Right.
Israel to tell us when the best time is to get the goats in.
Do you have any comment on that, Israel? If you do, would you come up to the podium, please?
So disclaimer, I am not a goat contractor, and I'm not an ecologist. But from my experience in working with the goat contractors, including Diversity Landworks, buckthorn, the ideal times to get it is early spring and mid to late fall. Because buckthorn is the last of the because it's invasive, it has a longer growing season. It's the first to sprout leaves, it's the last to lose leaves. So everything will still be green in the park. That's buckthorn. So we have worked with them in the past at Freedom Park. We brought in goats end of September, beginning of October, and that was still effective from an ecological standpoint. So, but they do advise both spring grazing to hit the early growth. Summer's the terrible time to bring to address buckthorn. But fall is still an optimal time, from what I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Israel, I have a question
Yeah.
for you. So, do the goats stay there 24/7 to
Yep.
eat? Is anybody keeping a count on the goats? Like, because I know we have bear back there now.
There have been sightings of bear, yes.
Are we liable for the goats?
So if you,
Yeah, we are not liable for the goats, and there are goats that are predated every once in a while. Sometimes they die of other causes. That wouldn't be on us. That would be something that the goat contractors would have to deal with.
okay,
We wouldn't have to clean up the mess, that kind of situation. And goats tend to stay very close to each other.
right.
So in terms of escaping and terrorizing the neighborhood, that
And I'm not
likely
worried
wouldn't
about the
happen.
goats terrorizing the neighborhood, I'm worried about the bear finding,
Terrorizing
Yeah.
the goats.
yes.
Yeah. And that's possible. I mean, in Diversity Landworks and other goat contractors, they do have predation that happens
Okay,
on a regular basis.
okay.
Israel, does the herder stay out there overnight with them?
No.
Oh,
They have
okay.
an electric fence.
Oh,
Yep, they will, last year they put fence around 13 acres.
uh-huh.
And they also brought in some larger goats. And the larger goats tend to keep the coyotes and other animals like that away. Large wild dogs, things like that. Those goats are big enough that they'll head off on that kind of attack. But bear attack, that's a different deal, yeah.
So are they eating the leaves or are they actually eating down to the?
They're eating everything. So they're eating the leaves and they are also stripping the bark. So that's where the power comes in. They'll strip the bark and essentially then keep the nutrients from being able to go up and down. It strips the phloem and the outer portion of the plant. One of the nice parts about goats in the fall season, and this is a little later than they arrived last year. Last year they arrived end of August, last week of August, and stayed for 3 to 4 weeks. The nice part about this season is that if we get volunteers in and trim and cut fruiting buckthorn, the goats eat the berries. When the goats eat the berries, seeds can't propagate.
So is the thought that so you just need to bring in goats 3 years and then like you don't have a buckthorn problem? Is that?
No,
You have to do it
buckthorn
every year?
requires, yeah, it will knock it back significantly, and especially if we are able to complete some of the other parts of the McGee Park comprehensive plan. That concept plan, once we start getting people in there and creating trail, we'll also manage the buckthorn problem with volunteers. Repeated cuttings, after enough cuttings, there's no nutrients left in the root to be able to fruit the plant, and the plants will die. But it is an ongoing problem. Goats last year were a significant, they made a huge dent in the population of invasive species on this, in that 13-acre section.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you satisfied?
Okay.
Okay, any
Thanks,
other
Israel.
comments on
You're welcome.
the motion?
Thank you.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 40-23. Is that right?
Better check.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Approving the contract design and specifications by Cedar Corps for Elm Street and Washington Street from Kinnickinnick Street to Wakota Street. Greg, you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, so I had sent the proposal to Matt for the agenda, and Matt had kind of summarized some of the background of the previous bonding that was done and estimates that were done in late 2021 in anticipation of these two projects. And we did do the preliminary surveying for both, so this represents a similar I guess strategy as to how we designed Locust Street, but it would give us a lot earlier start. We feel that that would be a lot of a benefit to get a little more time for communication and things like that with the public. It is a bigger project. It's about 40% larger than Locust Street in length, and has a couple of other challenges that we'll try to incorporate into this design. But I could go through just very quickly and just hit on the, some of the supplemental field data we do have to still pick up, some of the laterals, locations. I'm going to probably be working with a utility locating company to try to get some better information on that, fire flow data, launch into the preliminary design engineering, looking at some concept layouts that we can look at for the street section. What do we do with parking? What does the existing use of the street look like, where the streets come together at like a 45-degree? I think that's at the intersection of Walter, I believe. Looking at, kind of trying to improve that intersection. Picking up all the right-of-way, getting all that verified. And then looking at that with staff, finding out what we want to do with the final layout of this project, and then move into preliminary meetings with the public, taking some of those comments, putting that into final design, plans, specs, all of the details that would go into providing a fully biddable set of plans and specifications. So that's really the scope in this contract. I kind of have that broken out, roughly what the estimate of the project was, about $3,770,200 construction cost, and then kind of a breakdown of the various fees and tasks associated with that to come up with that total fee of $198,300. And a general project timeline. If we were to start on this, we would look at a goal of late November, getting our preliminary design done, and then getting our bid documents and things completed late February to first part of March. So if you have any other questions, I could
I do.
elaborate on
I know
that.
we're We were looking at a grant for the sidewalk, are we anywhere with that?
On this project?
Yeah,
or-
aren't we looking at the safe sidewalks to schools since it runs in front of the school?
We did apply last year for through the BIL program, the bipartisan infrastructure for this project. We didn't get that one awarded. I'm planning to apply through another DOT program through the LRIP, Local Road Improvement Program, for this project. So having a start now also helps us to get a bit more of a refined cost estimate and a concept plan. I've applied for 2 of the large LRIP, Local Road Improvement Programs. Back in 2018, we received about, I think it was like $450,000 for Albert and College, and then we got about $600,000 for the Riverfront was the LRIP program too. So I think having already gone through the bill program and some of the way those funds were dispersed, I feel like maybe the LRIP, it's another DOT program to pursue for this one. So
Okay.
I didn't, it would, I guess I didn't line item that out, but with the legwork being done on this, I would apply for that grant at no cost. 'Cause
Okay. Thank you.
We'd have a lot of the information put together by then.
Okay. Anybody ever, any other questions for Greg? Okay. Look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 4023, contract for design and specifications by Cedar Corporation for Elm Street and Washington Street from Kinnickinnick to Wakota.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve Resolution 40-23. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just,
If not, all those in
roll.
roll call?
Yeah.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Dark?
Aye.
Pat?
All right?
Maureen?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Staff. Okay, next item on the agenda is notice of a nomination for the Fire Association of Bill Dravis. Now, this is just a nomination, right?
Just a notice, yes. and no vote.
Notice. So we'll be voting on that at the next meeting. Just an FYI.
Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is other business.
Can we ask about
Matt, have anything?
Just the Board of Review, we have another one coming up on Tuesday, September 19th at 5 PM.
Okay. All right, we don't have any closed sessions, so
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.